I brought the European Championship back for an entire year, using some of the best European wrestlers from the past and the present to former European champions to build a roster. So let's get into it. So our first pay-per-view is Backlash in France. We have a 10-man battle royal to determine who our first European champion will be. The final two are Owen Hart and Sheamus. Owen Hart counters whatever Sheamus was going for. Owen Hart grabs Sheamus, throws him out, and then knocks him off the ring, and Owen Hart becomes our first European champion. Yes, I know, a Canadian winning the European Championship, make it make sense. The next show that we go to is Hell in a Cell in Belfast, Ireland. Our opening contest is a good old-fashioned Irish Donnybrook match, as Ilya Dragunov and Roddy Piper take on the team of DDP and Tyler Bate. And a good old knuckle sandwich Donnybrook showdown. Tyler Bate hits the Tyler Driver 97, pin Ilya Dragunov, and Team Positivity wins against Team Ilya. And the main event of Hell in a Cell is a Hell in a Cell match. I mean, obviously, it's the pay-per-view name. Owen Hart, the European champion, defends against the Ring General Gunther. This match was violent. It was brutal. It was a good old Donnybrook clash of... What the fuck is a Donnybrook anyways? Does anybody even know? Anyways, despite Owen Hart's best attempts, Owen Hart would fail. He would fall to the powerbomb of Gunther, and Gunther would become the new European champion, upsetting the first champion, Owen Hart. The following week on SmackDown, Gunther is celebrating with his new championship, but then Bret Hart comes out and lays down the challenge. You might have beaten my brother Owen in a bullcrap match like a Hell in a Cell, but I want to fight you at Money in the Bank. You versus me. Hart versus Gunther in an actual wrestling match, not a barbaric cell. And Gunther accepts the invitation. So at Money in the Bank, Gunther versus Bret Hart, a dream match. Now it's time for Money in the Bank. We already know one match, but the show starts off with a Money in the Bank ladder match featuring Bruno Sammartino, Edge, Sheamus, Drew McIntyre, Finn Balor, Triple H, Andre the Giant, and Owen Hart. This match, well, it's basically how I expected. Like the majority of the guys go to like one side of the ring and brawl with one another, and two other guys are in the ring. Owen Hart hits the damnedest superplex ever done. He hits a superplex off the ladder to Andre the Giant. Andre the Giant is basically done. He's dead. Owen Hart climbs up the ladder while every other dumbass on the outside is fighting, and Owen Hart sneaks in and becomes Mr. Money in the Bank. The King of Hearts is now your Money in the Bank briefcase holder. And the main event, the European champion Gunther, who is bringing Imperium with him, takes on Bret Hart, the Hitman, looking back to come back in and win the European title in his fallen brother, but unfortunately, thanks to outside interference from Vinci and the Kaiser, Gunther is able to hit a powerbomb onto Bret Hart and pin him for the 3. Gunther retains the European Championship. After the show goes off the air, we see Owen and Bret backstage together. Owen goes like, "You got screwed. What do we do now?" And Bret Hart tells him, "I've got a plan that will take this company by storm." And now we are at SummerSlam in Spain. The first match is actually Christian Cage. Christian Cage comes out with a new championship and declares that rather than wrestling for that European Championship, I have created the Canadian Championship. The best championship, the true championship to be held by the best. And he doesn't care who comes out. He will defend his championship against them no matter what.
You think you know me?
Edge accepts the open challenge. So for the first time for the Canadian Championship, Edge will take on Christian Cage. Edge is able to hit an execution and then follow up with the spear to pin Christian Cage, and Edge becomes the new Canada champion. Sheer minutes after Christian Cage debuts the championship and inaugurates himself, he loses it. And now it's time for the main event of SummerSlam in Spain. Gunther, the European champion with no Imperium at ringside per stipulation, takes on the Hitman, Bret Hart, for the second match for the European Championship. After a back-and-forth fight between these two great wrestlers, Gunther hits a powerbomb, Bret Hart kicks out of it, and then immediately Owen Hart comes out with the Money in the Bank briefcase and cashes it in. However, what happens is not a triple threat. but a handicap match. Bret Hart lets Owen Hart beat Gunther to become the European champion, pulling a coup off so that Bret Hart and Owen Hart can get over on Imperium. But we go to the back and we see both Giovanni Vinci and Ludwig Kaiser taking out Jim Neidhart and the British Bulldog standing over them. Then the loose cannon Brian Pillman comes out. He looks at Bret and Owen, and then he turns his attention to Gunther and attacks Gunther. And now everything's coming into place. The Hart Foundation has reformed, and Owen Hart is leading the charge with the European Championship. The next week, Gunther goes to Nick Aldis directly and demands a rematch after he believes he was completely screwed in a coup d'etat to get the belt off him from the Hart Foundation. Nick Aldis declines, and his reason is because we need new blood in the main event scene. Gunther is pissed off by this and he says, fine, I'll do it myself. What does he mean by that? We'll find out, I guess. We arrive at Clash at the Castle in Cardiff, Wales. Tonight is a big night. We got 3 big matches. The first match is a 4-way ladder tag team match to determine the first ever European Tag Team Champions. We see the Hart Foundation taken out in the back by Ludwig Kaiser and Giovanni Vinci. The Hart Foundation were supposed to be in the ladder match, but they're replaced. Who will they be replaced by? Well, I guess we'll find out. It's the Judgment Day, JD McDonough and Finn Balor, Ilya Dragunov and Roddy Piper, Sheamus and Wade Barrett, the United Kingdom, and the D-Generation X. They didn't have anybody else in the back, so they just decided to have... So Hunter and Shawn decided to get together and bring the band back together. With the entire field of guys fighting in the bottom corner of the screen, Ilya Dragunov is able to sneak up the ladder and grab the championships, and Roddy Piper and Ilya Dragunov have become the inaugural European Tag Team Champions. The second match of the night is for the Canada Championship, the Canadian Championship. Edge, the champion, defends against Canada's own Kevin Owens. And after a back and forth match between the two, Edge is able to hit a spear onto Kevin Owens, and Edge pins Kevin Owens. Edge retains the Canadian Championship. After the match, though, Christian Cage attacks the Rated R Superstar and takes him out with a steel chair. In the main event, Owen Hart, the European Champion, who won it off of controversy, takes on Andre the Giant, who won a Battle Royal on Raw to become the #1 contender for the championship. Owen Hart had to lock on the sharpshooter not once, because it was broken up by a rope break, but 2 times to finally get the big man to tap out to the sharpshooter. Owen Hart retains the European Championship. However, after the match, Gunther comes out, ambushes the European Champion Owen Hart, and says that it's not over between the two of us, or I guess at this point, the factions. In the build-up to Survivor Series War Games, the Hart Foundation and Imperium have to find one more team member for their team. Christian Cage sides with the Hart Foundation, while Edge sides with Imperium, and it's set. Imperium and Edge versus Christian Cage and the Hart Foundation. Now we arrive at Survivor Series in Scotland. The first match is the Hart Foundation, who are now getting their rematch to being taken out by Imperium a couple months ago, against Rowdy Dragons, Ilya Dragunov and Roddy Piper. And after a boring tag match, made me want to... unalive myself. Jim Neidhart locks on the Camel Clutch, or the Canadian Clutch, onto Ilya Dragunov. Roddy Piper tries to break it up, but he's too late. Ilya taps out. The Hart Foundation actually capture the Tag Team Championships, so good for them. And now it's time for the War Games match. The Hart Foundation and Christian Cage versus Imperium and Edge, the Canadian Championship. After a hellacious War Games match between these two sides, Ludwig Kaiser hits a reverse suplex onto the champion and actually pins the champion for Gunther. Imperium and Edge defeat the Hart Foundation and Christian Cage. And with this, Gunther now gets another shot at Owen Hart for the European Championship, as well as Imperium getting tag title shots against the Hart Foundation. And Christian Cage gets nothing. He gets to go back down to the mid-card. So, sorry, Christian.
Go fuck yourself.
Before we get to the Royal Rumble, we have one more pay-per-view. Insurrection, live in the United Kingdom. That's not even a part of the European Union anymore, but it's still in Europe, damn it. We start off with the Canadian Championship being defended. Edge, who's actually done pretty well as champion, takes on Y2J Chris Jericho. Edge is able to hit a... What the hell is that? Like a facebuster? Yeah, facebuster onto Chris Jericho and pin him for the W. Edge retains his Canadian Championship, and now he's going into WrestleMania as the champion. Maybe. And at the main event of Insurrection, Imperium versus the Hart Foundation, the match that was always meant to be for the European Tag Team Championships. Unfortunately for Imperium, they got their cheeks clapped by the Hart Foundation. Just absolutely bullied. Jim Neidhart finishes off Giovanni with a power slam to pin Giovanni for the win, and British Bulldog is just flexing in front of Ludwig. Absolute destruction by the Hart Foundation. We arrive at the Royal Rumble in Romania. We only have 2 matches tonight. The first one is for the European Championship. Owen Hart, the champion, takes on Gunther for the final time. This is the final time these guys will collide for the European Championship. Gunther hits a powerbomb onto Owen Hart, but Owen Hart survives the powerbomb. So Gunther just goes for it again. Owen counters it, takes him down, locks on the sharpshooter, and Gunther taps out to Owen Hart's sharpshooter. Owen Hart retains the European Championship, ending this feud with the Hart Foundation coming out on top against Imperium. And the main event, the Royal Rumble match. The winner goes to WrestleMania UK to challenge Owen Hart for the European Championship. The final 3 came down to Andre the Giant, Kurt Angle, and the Hurricane. And one of the most tense and exciting final 3s I've ever seen in this game. Andre the Giant grabs Kurt Angle and tosses him out of the ring, and the final 2 are Hurricane and Andre the Giant. Hurricane tries his best, but he gets booted right in the face and tossed out by Andre the Giant. And Andre the Giant is going to WrestleMania to get his rematch against Owen Hart for the European Championship. Damn. Long-term booking. Damn it. Before we get to WrestleMania UK, we have a couple more pit stops to get to. The first one is Bash in Berlin, where there will be an Elimination Chamber match to determine who will fight for the Canadian Championship against Edge at WrestleMania. The 6 participants are Kenny Omega, the heart and soul of Canada, Bret Hart, Brian Pillman of the Hart Foundation, Chris Jericho again, Christian Cage again, and the American Nightmare, who's being relentlessly booed by the crowd because he's an American and not like a German or a Canadian. The final 2 of this match were Brian Pillman of the Hart Foundation and Chris Jericho, who's looking to get some revenge. This was another very tense final 2 that I thought could go either way. It was super tight. But then Chris Jericho hits a perfect plex with the bridge, bridges the leg, pins Brian Pillman, and Chris Jericho is getting his rematch at WrestleMania against Edge. What the fuck is this? The WrestleMania rematches? Haven't we seen that before? So Chris Jericho is going to WrestleMania. The final pay-per-view before WrestleMania UK is Rebellion. We hosted a tag team tournament throughout the month to determine who would challenge the Hart Foundation at WrestleMania. We had 8 tag teams, and the final 2 came down to... The final 2 teams in the tournament were the United Kingdom, Wade Barrett and Sheamus, and the Rowdy Dragons, Roddy Piper and Ilya Dragunov. Roddy Piper likes on the sleeper hold on the Sheamus. Ilya Dragunov beats Wade Barrett's ass. And it ends with Sheamus passing out to the sleeper hold as Ilya Dragunov is still beating the ass of Wade Barrett. And another rematch. Ilya and Piper versus the Hart Foundation in a fucking another rematch. Like, I seriously don't book this shit. This literally just happens. And now it's time for the biggest show of the year, WrestleMania live in the United Kingdom. The opening contest for WrestleMania UK is for the European Tag Team Championships. Ilya Dragunov and Roddy Piper, who lost their titles months ago, are getting their rematch against the Hart Foundation, the Bulldog and Jim Neidhart. After a back and forth tag team match, Roddy Piper again locks on a sleeper hold to the Bulldog. Bulldog tries to fight out of it, but in the end he passes out before Neidhart can break it up, and the Rowdy Dragons capture the Tag Team Championships again. Second match of the night is for the Canadian Championship. Edge, the Rated R Superstar, defends against Chris Jericho again. Jericho goes for the Walls of Jericho with the knee on the back and bridge and all, but Edge throws his way out and hits an execution onto Jericho to pin him for the win. Edge retains his championship again, proving that he is truly the best of Canada. I'm sorry, Brett. And it's the main event of WrestleMania. Andre the Giant, who's kind of been my cursed wrestler on this channel for like the past 9 months at this point. It's freaking ridiculous. Takes on the King of Hearts, Owen Hart, with his brother in his corner. Owen Hart goes for a sharpshooter, but Andre gets out of that. So then he goes for a sleeper hold, but Andre gets out of that too. Andre then throws him into the turnbuckle, picks him up, slams him against the post, and then does a big splash onto Owen Hart, pins Owen Hart. Andre the Giant, my cursed wrestler who appears every freaking time, has won the European Championship, and that's how it comes to an end. Not with Owen Hart finally getting his moment, but instead my worst nightmare being realized that Andre the fucking Giant keeps winning in all these videos. So there you go, everyone. That's what happened when the European Championship was brought back for a year. We got endless rematches, feuds that went on too long, and Andre the fucking Giant winning again. Thank you for watching, and take care.